We have a true quarterback battle going on in the Ohio State Buckeyes camp, but I'm going to tell you exactly how this is going to play out before the season opener against number 1 Texas. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. Plus, it helps us out, and if you don't mind sharing or liking or following, that will help as well. Now, a lot of things we want to cover here today. What's the Buckeyes quarterback plan? Plus, we're going to get into some recruiting. We always do. And we'll have our Big Ten Classics coming up. But first, we were as excited as anyone to see that the season opener between Texas and Ohio State will actually be number 1 versus number 2. Texas number 1, Ohio State number 2, according to the coaches poll that came out this past week. Look, we know that Arch Manning is going to be the starting quarterback for Steve Sarkisian in Texas. That's a no-brainer. All right, we've known that for a long time. But who will the starter be for the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes? Upstart Julian Sayin or veteran backup Lincoln Kienholz? Now, before we tell you the answer and how this is going to work out, let's tell you how Coach Ryan Day will arrive at his answer. He's pretty predictable. Buckeye fans know this. In a nutshell, he's going to be looking at this young 5-star, Julian Sayin, who sat and watched veteran Will Howard lead the Buckeyes to a national championship last year. Sayin only appeared in 4 games. He threw like 12 passes. He's got a very strong arm. He's very accurate on the deep ball. We all saw a lot of highlights this week out on social media. The guy has some touch on the long ball. That excites people. Lincoln Kienholz, who is talented in his own right, we forget because he's kind of been in the background battling for places on the depth chart. He was a highly recruited quarterback back in the day. He has the ability, but he's been beat in a couple of quarterback battles a couple years in a row now. And to his credit, he has remained with the program. He's not one of these guys, well, I can't get a starting shot here. I'm out of here. Let's hit the transfer portal. He has stayed. He's physically strong and mature now. Been a couple of years under his belt. He's mentally strong. He knows the ropes behind the scenes of the Buckeyes and their offense better than anybody on the team. Good size, 6'3", 215 pounds. Got some size and athleticism of his own. And he played 2 games last year through 0 passes. The year before, 2023, 10 of 22 for 111 yards. So basically, neither of these guys have a lot of game experience, just that Kienholz has been with the program and taken a lot more snaps at practice over the years as Sayin is quickly getting up to speed. You can probably guess how this is going to play out, right? Kienholz, familiar with everything, looked to be very steady, be the steady vet in spring ball while Sayin scrambled to find his way a little bit. But as the summer camp goes on with each day, Sayin's talent is emerging. He's receiving some raised eyebrows in addition to making some mistakes, so some good and some bad. And even Ryan Day is already comparing him to former Buckeye and the late Dwayne Haskins. That's high praise. Says the ball comes out of his hands just like Haskins. That tells you what Day's thinking about this guy and the upside of Sayin. We also know that Ryan Day will say every day to those who ask him about the quarterback battle that he will insist time and time again that there is a true competition on the field for the starting job, even if we think we know who the starting quarterback will be. And we all know that Ryan Day will wait till about 8 days before that game against Texas, before he'll make an announcement here as to who the starting will be. Because once he gets to about 8 days out, 7 days out, he's got to go from camp mode to game mode and get ready for that game. He's done this every year. Even, with Will Howard coming in, we all knew that he was going to be the guy all along eventually. And the only time that they got in trouble with this formula, with this method of operation, if you will, was a couple years ago when eventual starter Kyle McCord, he couldn't separate himself from Devin Brown. In fact, those two, you remember, those two were still battling it out 2 weeks into the season that year before he finally settled in on McCord. So that didn't work out ideally. That wasn't how Day wanted to go into that season. That's just what happened. So what exactly will Day be looking for in the next few weeks here? First of all, and he says these same things every year, very predictable. Got this system down pat there at Ohio State for him. Always looking for a guy that has command in the huddle. Always looking for a guy that can get you into the right play, make great decisions, take care of the ball. Will Howard did all this. In fact, that's one of the strengths behind the scenes that a lot of people didn't get to see, in addition to being able to find Jeremiah Smith open with the ball with the touchdown pass. Just control, getting everything in the right play, working the play clock the right way. Did all that effortlessly. Third down, red zone, 2-minute drill. That's where Ryan Day says you make your money. So whoever can start to emerge in these situations in practice and then early in the season is going to be the guy, of course. And then, there's so much talent at Ohio State. It's like, don't mess it up. There's a saying around there that, just make the routine plays routinely. The ones you're supposed to make them every time. Now, there's a little bit of a different twist here this year. And this is going to be done with some urgency. They're not going to have the luxury of working a couple games into the season to figure this out, because they got a big boy in Texas coming to week 1. They got to have this figured out. So there's a bit of sense of urgency here at camp. Let's get this quarterback thing figured out. And let's start getting ready for Texas eventually. This isn't Youngstown State. This is Texas, the number 1 team in the country. So there's not going to be a lot of learning on the job against Texas. This all better be figured out ahead of time. Plus, you got to do this with 2 new coordinators, too. A lot of communication, all that. Brian Hartline in for Chip Kelly. Matt Patricia in for Jim Knowles. Every minute matters of this summer camp right now. There's a lot of big pressure for game 1. And, maybe with this whole pressure situation and the time crunch, is that a feather in the cap for veteran Kienholz that, since we don't want anybody learning on the job? Will he be more ready for week 1 and then Julian Sayin ready as we go on? It's a possibility. I doubt it, though. The big question, if Ohio State was not opening against the number 1 team in the country in Texas, there's no doubt in my mind that Julian Sayin would be named the starter right away. And I still think he probably will be. But because it's Texas, will the experienced Lincoln Kienholz get the start there? Maybe ease things in, keep things calm in the huddle, and then give way to Sayin. Look, that scenario could happen. Kienholz first, then Sayin. That could happen in the Texas game by itself. Like, either way, I would not be surprised if both played in that first game. But ultimately, Sayin's going to be the guy. We all know that. It's a matter of when and how soon. And right away, either way, again, I'm going to bet right now that both quarterbacks play in that opening game. But ultimately, it's Sayin's gig. I think the Buckeyes' schedule is interesting for Sayin's development. After the Texas game, very winnable games against Grambling State and Ohio. That should allow for a lot of improvement quickly. But week 4, on the road at a very improved Washington team, that could be a nice 1-month checkup. See how we're doing, where everybody's at with Julian Sayin, if he's the guy. Then there's a stretch with Minnesota, at Illinois, at Wisconsin, against Penn State. Alternating winnable game, still winnable game, but tough game. I think Illinois and Penn State would be tough games, and Ohio State should win against Minnesota and at Wisconsin. They may even win the Illinois game and the Penn State game. I'm just saying, this is kind of the schedule kind of does this up and down for a while. And then by the time you get to Penn State, the team status, Ohio State's status regarding all their goals should be in focus. All right, are they still undefeated? Are they a 1-loss team? Where are they at that point? Everything will be answered by then. They'll also know, are we good at quarterback or not at this point? Then you got to stretch with Purdue, UCLA, and Rutgers. It's a nice, easy 3-game stretch to kind of fine-tune things before the big game against the team up north. And it's up north, by the way, at Ann Arbor. And that's on to the Big Ten championship, maybe. And then I think almost certainly on to the playoffs. Anyway, Buckeye fans, do you agree with me? How's this going to work out? How's it going to pan out at quarterback? Hit me up with a comment. And be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten as well. And don't forget to check out all of our podcasts and get your Big Ten gear, shirts, t-shirts, and hats for the 2025 season at our website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. You can check that out. Now, play I want to get to here. Ohio State's athletic director, Ross Bjork, is changing a lot of traditions. Some people are very upset with him. I will explain what's going on at the shoe. And do you know Bryce Underwood can throw just as well left-handed as right-handed? Yeah, he can throw both with both hands. Interesting, fun update there. Got some Huskers injury updates as well, some recruiting news, and we'll have our Big Ten Classics. All that is coming up in 1 minute here on Locked On Big Ten. Games are exciting on their own, but they're even more exciting if you watch and play with FanDuel. We got these summer sports. They're in full swing. A lot of baseball, a lot of golf, a lot of high-stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. You're already there. You might as well make it a little more interesting with FanDuel. You can get in on the game while your friends are at the beach or whatever. You could be making money. That's what can happen here. FanDuel's got a great app. It's very easy to use. They have daily promotions, fun ways to jump in, same game parlays, all this stuff available to you, multiple options. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open up the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com and get started. That's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. Appreciate you, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Always appreciate that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and share, like, and follow Locked On Big Ten and check out our website, talkbig10.com. All right, Ohio State, I tell you, there's some changes coming for the Buckeyes, not just a quarterback. Their relatively new athletic director, Ross Bjork, is changing some traditions around football games, and fans are not all that happy. Now, Ross Bjork, he's repeatedly talked about he wants to make the game day experience even bigger and better. Basically, I know what he's driving at. He wants to pull that atmosphere of that nighttime Tennessee playoff game last year and make that every week. And if they could get off the noon time slot and get some nighttime games, that might help as well. But Fox has got a good thing going with Big Noon, and Ohio State's a high marquee, high profile team that Fox likes to use. So here we are. The band, first of all, the world famous Ohio State marching band. They're no longer going to play Hang On Sloopy at the start of the fourth quarter. Tradition there. Instead, according to Bjork, the band will still play the song, but they will play it whenever it is needed to get everybody pumped up. Maybe there's a down moment. They need to get them fired up. It's the third quarter, late in the fourth. Who knows? They're changing that. He says that the Buckeyes will ring the victory bell before the start of games instead of after wins. I don't know why that is. It makes it seem like we might lose some games and we don't get to ring the bell. So let's ring at the beginning, no matter what. That's what it seems like. Also, speaking of the marching band, okay, so typically they're in the south end stands behind the end zone with the student section. And it is a bear to try and score if you're an opposing team at that end of the field, because it is so loud you can't hear. Between the band and the students, you can't hear. Well, they're moving the band to the north side because they want to take that south side right behind the field goals and put field level suites there, kind of like you've seen at SoFi Stadium, maybe if you ever watched a Rams or Chargers game. So moving the band to the other side. A lot of people aren't happy about that as well. The Buckeyes did get some good news this week about Edric Houston. He went down with a knee injury on the first day of practice, and he should be back here right today or tomorrow, pretty soon. The sophomore is expected to be the starting defensive tackle for Matt Patricia's defense. Went down. Everybody got scared. Looks like it's going to be okay. Michigan. Here's a fun fact about Bryce Underwood. who was the top recruit in the nation, as well as the top quarterback in the nation before he came to Michigan. We haven't seen him in a real game yet, but apparently he's really talented, like really, really talented. He's ambidextrous. It's a big word. Yeah, it means he can throw with either arm just as accurately. His teammates have seen it for real. They're amazed. Guard Giovanni El Hadi says that Underwood could throw the ball with his left hand as well as he throws with his right hand. That's unreal. That's incredible. Michigan's been busy working on the class of 27, three-star interior offensive lineman Tristan Dare, 6'4", 290-pounder, been projected to be a four-star. He's committed to Michigan over Ohio State, Penn State, Oklahoma, Florida, and Florida State. And if the Oregon Ducks don't have enough great recruits coming in for 2026, as we highlighted in yesterday's Locked On Big Ten podcast. By the way, Ducks fan, if you missed it, yesterday's the podcast for you. Jump in there. A lot on Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. They're already focused on the 2027 class, and they are zeroing in on three-star running back Terrence Grant Jr., and they've already offered him. And he's the fourth-ranked player overall in the state of Nevada, and he is expected to jump up and be a four-star soon. Their 2026 class already has a commit from four-star Tredarian Ball, so they are loading up at that position. Good news, I think, for Nebraska. Do you remember wide receiver Demitrius Bell? You might not, because he's been around a while, but nobody's seen him. I remember this. So he was hurt in the 2024 spring game. In fact, I remember I was watching it live on the Big Ten Network. Matt Rule had taken a break from down the field. He was up in the booth with the broadcasters talking while watching his team from the booth. It's kind of a color analyst head coach mode. Everybody was excited that day. That was the debut of Dylan Raiola. Everybody wanted to see what the real deal was with the five-star quarterback. And I remember there was a play, and then Bell got hurt after making a catch on the sideline. And it was kind of a quiet, awkward moment in the booth because there was Matt Rule looking down. He could see it. And then he was lost for the season. That's one of the reasons that Matt Rule got rid of the spring game in 2025. And not only were players getting poached, but players were getting hurt. He didn't want to do that. He said he lost two players for the season. Bell was one of them. So great news. So Matt Rule updated everybody this week. He said that Bell should be back in the first part of the season. He didn't say for the opening day, but he said for the opening part of the season, he should be back. And, the tough part for Bell, in addition for being out a year and a half with this injury now, the year before he redshirted in 2023. So he's been at Lincoln for 2.5 years and hasn't taken a snap in a regular season game. And again, he won't be ready for the first game, but he'll be ready soonish, according to Matt Rule. And he back in high school, he's from Nashville, very explosive. He was a senior year, 700 yards, 8 touchdowns, then 274 yards rushing and a couple more touchdowns. Good player. Huskers will be very excited to get him back up and running in full. Got a basketball note for you. Haven't talked hoops in a while. Dusty May, Michigan. They're going to be hosting a 5-star recruit, Anthony Thompson. He's a 6'7" forward from Ohio. He's the number 8 player in the country. Don't get too excited, Michigan fans. This is a visit. He's also scheduled to visit Ohio State, as well as Indiana, North Carolina, Texas, and Kentucky. Purdue may also be in the mix as well, trying to get a visit scheduled there. This will be a second visit to Ann Arbor, though, so maybe you can get a little bit excited in Ann Arbor about all this. All right, coming up, we got our daily feature. Mondays, top 10 Big Ten observations. Tuesdays, Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Thursdays, we look ahead to the weekend on the Big Ten Network and highlight a few Big Ten classics and some training camps. We got all that coming up. It's coming up here in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Time to hit our Thursday feature. Let's do it. We're going to take a look at the Big Ten Network. Even though we are not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, we all have the same interest, don't we? So let's take a look at their lineup for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday going into the weekend. It's too hot outside anyway. Get inside in the AC and watch some Big Ten classics. Plus, they've been darting around with their visits to various training camps. So and they re-air them over and over. So if you missed it during the week, you can catch up over the weekend. So let's go full screen with it. If you're audio only, I'll describe in detail what's going on here. And we'll start it off with Friday, August 8th. All training camp updates, or repeats, if you will. At 2 o'clock Eastern, their visit to the training camp at Rutgers. They interview all the coaches, all the coordinators, the head coaches, the players. Greg Schiano will give you the scoop. They do a pretty nice job on this. And so they'll feature Rutgers at 2 o'clock on Friday. If you're not home, if you're at work, go ahead and record it. At 4 o'clock, Matt Rule and the Nebraska training camp. That will air at 7 o'clock Eastern. They'll air the Ohio State Buckeyes, Ryan Day, and interesting stories of both coordinators, Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia. They'll be on there, I'm sure. Jeremiah Smith. And then at 8 o'clock on Friday, the training camp session they had with Kurt Signetti, who's he's worth watching just by himself. Always a very confident soundbite. Indiana, 8 o'clock on Friday night. So those are the training camps. Not exactly classics or Big Ten classics, because we got those later on in the weekend because we flipped the schedule to Saturday, August 9th. But first, another training camp update from Maryland. That's at 12 noon Eastern time. And then Penn State at 3 o'clock Eastern. See what James Franklin's got to say about all of his expectations there with the Nittany Lions. By the way, was anybody surprised when the coaches poll came out, when Texas was 1, Ohio State was 2, that Penn State wasn't up there? With all the hype in the offseason, how they're going to win it all. They got a 4-year quarterback, Drew Aller. I mean, Ohio State's great, but brand new quarterback. Are we not surprised that Penn State was not ranked higher than Ohio State and or possibly Texas? I'll throw that out. Hit me up in the comments on that one. Now, at 6 o'clock, on with the Big Ten Classics. We got an Indiana football classic. The Purdue-Indiana game from last year. Curtis Rourke passing for 349 yards and 6 touchdowns his final game at Memorial Stadium. And the 10th-ranked Hoosiers pummeled the Boilermakers 66-0. Ryan Walters was fired the next day as the head coach of Purdue. We do not relish in that. At 8 o'clock, speaking of Purdue, checking in with Barry Odom, the new coach, as they check in on the Purdue camp in West Lafayette. 8 o'clock Eastern, Saturday night. Check it out. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern, another Purdue football classic, a Purdue-Indiana game from 2018. This time, the Boilers won. They earned bowl eligibility and got the Old Oaken Bucket for the second straight year. And the Boilermakers defeated the Hoosiers in Bloomington that year, 2018, 28-21. Then at 11 o'clock, it's a big day. Another Purdue football classic, Notre Dame at Purdue. This is from September 1999. Remember Drew Brees? Yeah. Drew Brees passed for 317 yards and a touchdown and ran for another score to help lead the 20th ranked Boilermakers to a 28-23 victory over the 16th ranked Fighting Irish. How about that? All right, now let's flip the calendar again and take a peek at what's going on Sunday. We've got a lot of action here on Sunday. We really jammed it in here. At 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, I guess it'd be 5 a.m. on the West Coast, it's an Illinois football classic. Michigan and Illinois from 2024. Luke Altmaier passing for a touchdown and ran for another, helped the 22nd ranked Fighting Illini beat the 24th ranked Wolverines 21-7. Now, what was great about this game was the 100-year anniversary, Red Grange, 100-year anniversary, almost to the day that they opened up that stadium they play in, and they played Michigan 100 years ago. And Grange, a six-yard touchdown game, by the way. But the cool part about this is worth recording this and or watching it when it airs. To commemorate the 100-year anniversary, Illinois painted their helmets to make them look like 3D leather helmets. It was a fabulous job. I loved watching it. It was great. It was a great artistic rendering. It looked like 3D leather helmets. It was a beautiful job. It's worth checking it out. I've talked about it a lot when it happened. And talking about it now. It's worth checking out. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. We got one of those football in 60s, Michigan State at Michigan from 2024. Colston Loveland catching 2 touchdown passes on a 2-point conversion to lift the Wolverines to a 24-17 victory over the Spartans. At 10 o'clock, we got a Michigan football classic, Michigan at Ohio State from last November. You know how that went at Ohio State, the flag planting, the upset win by Michigan. Some argue that Ohio State, it was a wake-up call and got them playing hot, got them into the playoffs, and playing the way they did in the playoffs, I should say. At 11 o'clock, we have a big Penn State football classic, Penn State at USC. This also from last year. This is a great game. Tyler Warren set a school record with 224 receiving yards, and Drew Aller passed for 394 yards to help the 4th-ranked Nittany Lions clinch a 33-30 overtime victory over the Trojans. That was a great game, unless you're a Trojan fan. This is all before noon, by the way. At noon Eastern, football training camp, they'll re-air the Penn State one. Then at 2 o'clock, we got an Indiana football classic, Purdue at Indiana from last year. Again, the 66-0 game I just mentioned. At 10 o'clock p.m., an Ohio State football classic, Ohio State at Penn State from last year. That was where Will Howard passed for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the 4th-ranked Buckeyes to a 20-13 victory over the 3rd-ranked Nittany Lions. And then at 11 o'clock, an Oregon football classic, Ohio State at Oregon from last October. That was the one that Oregon won by a point. Will Howard and Ohio State ran out of time, mismanaged the clock on the last play. Dan Lanning with some hijinks to burn a few extra seconds. It was a great game. That was a great game from last October. There you are. Big Ten Classics over the weekend. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Hit us up in the comment section anyway. Out of anything we talked about or anything you want to talk about, we're here every single day. All 18 teams, news, analysis, opinion, and we are ready for football season right here. So check us out. Follow us on Twitter at TalkBig10, number 10. Don't forget our website, TalkBig10.com. That is also with the number 10, TalkBig10.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. That helps us out, but it helps you too because you'll never miss a single episode. Share, follow, and like as well. By the way, go back now and invite you to check out a second listen for a podcast. I told you, Oregon fans, big Oregon podcast yesterday. Go back and check it out for a second listen. Or maybe a second listen with The Portal Show with our friend Brian Smith. The Portal Show, part of the Lockdown family on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for us. We're going to talk some super conference merger stuff tomorrow. There's an interesting story out there. I'm going to pull it all together for you. We'll look forward to that as we head into the weekend. In the meantime, thank you for spending some time with us here today. Tell your friends about us that we're here each and every day. For Lockdown Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you next time.